Howdy, howdy. And it's time for Future Pop Pop Pop. There you go. Alrighty. Here we are doing the stuffs. All right, so I went on ahead and I was working on things, and we were working on story pieces and bits and pieces of story pieces. And this is because I'm taking a little bit of a quick break from all of my other work, which I actually was realizing I do cyclically. So I do one plate for Airship 27. I work on the comic for a while, and then I work on my animation for a while, and then I go back to Airship 27. They're asking me to hold off on the animation until they authorize more money, which is fine. So I'm going to work for a little bit on this here and turning it into something usable for me. So this is the Yaz, which I guess it took the references from Muppets. I don't know what the heck it did. But as cute as these guys are, I want to kind of work on what it is. But we're also going to hash it out and just use this as a tray space. So let's talk a little bit about what the Yaz look like. Remind me that I never want to draw Yaz. Oh my god. There we go. Kind of look like Fry Guys. I had it draw big cute eyes, and then I really kind of like and then I decided not to take them. Really, I just told the AI art machine to do cute because that way it's not threatening. Because whenever you say alien, immediately the AI sort of goes with this idea that it is evil and mean. All right. Thank you. I'm using AI for the first time as an under zone or an under thought process for it. And it is interesting on that aspect.
What's interesting on that aspect?
AI. I'm using AI for the concept on this.
Oh, okay.
So some user was saying that it's cute, and I was like, thank you. I'm using AI. But I'm only using AI to get started on it.
Yeah.
I know.
Again, it has so much baggage to it, but it has so much potential too as a wonderful tool. Just I think I finally hit on what I need to see it change before we can really proceed forward with it. I finally hit that yesterday. It needs to use public domain stuff.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying when we were talking before. It means you won't get anything newer than, say, 1980.
But that's fine. It can build its language on things before 1980.
Yeah.
And if you're using it as a tool to get started on pictures or to help with a concept for that, you don't need anything newer than that.
Some users out there defending our honor, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, like, I'm somewhat chuckling, but in real life, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I really do appreciate you being out there, getting into the fray for us. I mean, I know you're in the fray with us, but still, I appreciate you getting into it for us, defending us. There are some who believe that it's just evolution, and you need to just get used to it. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the next evolution of things, and you're fighting against the cart, and you're fighting against the horse and buggy, and you're a horse and buggy person, and you're fighting against the automobile, and you're an automobile person and fighting against the airplane. And the truth is that, yeah, I mean, to some degree, sure, that's true, but I don't see, if you get rid of, I mean, art has always been, at its core, about making statements and telling stories and those kinds of things. That's what we do in art. And once AI starts doing that and able to do that, then it's in the mix with us. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Then I start thinking it's like the characters I've got in my in Bellatrix Rising, where you have people that are AIs. Because at the point where it can create compelling stories, and it can make arguments about political situations, or you know what I mean, the moment it can start doing that. And I'm actually kind of terrified if they start trying to program AI to make political cartoons, because that could be disastrous in our current climate. I mean, there are pieces that I'm like, I don't think people see the next step. You know?
Or they see the next step, but they don't see
the danger of it.
Yeah. You know, this idea of, well, you know, we should just put artists out of business and then they can get real jobs. And it's like, art is a real job. I'm sorry if you hate artists because
we're beautiful.
They can do something that you can't. But that doesn't make us any less of a person.
Yep.
You know, don't ask for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee.
Yep.
Kind of situation. Because AI is coming for everyone. Everyone's job.
It's
regardless.
True.
But that doesn't mean we have to necessarily fear it either.
Nope.
Oh, piss. Oh, God.
What'd you do? You okay?
Put up the thing.
Oh, noes. The thing? Oh, noes. How bad? Oh, maybe. My mother used to be a psychiatrist, or at least she was working on her psych degree when bad things happened to her in college. And by bad things, it was getting pregnant in the Bible Belt in 1968. Oof. But still, prior to that, she was 90% through on a degree in psychology. And so even though she was never a psychologist, I explained she was, you know, she always, all of her life, had a fascination with humans and how we respond to things. And I think that fueled, to some degree, my love of how people think and stuff like that. But it also, she was the one who was very much most of the people, most of the time, are doing the very best that they can. You know, that was her saying that she always told me every time. And it was a potent quote that she, you know, gave me. But that was a long way for me to say projection. So she believed that a lot of people did projection. They had a problem internally, and they blame other people for it.
Yeah.
And she actually had a thing that we called Donna's Razor, which was, you most hate in other people that which you need to fix in yourself. You know, if you're unreasonably mad about somebody doing a thing, I mean, like, obviously, they smoke in your house and you don't want them smoking. It's not because you're smoking, you know, secretly, and you just don't know it. They didn't notice I was smoking, but I'm clearly smoking. But it does stand for the, hey, Can, I hate it when you smack your lips when you're chewing gum. And then, 2 minutes later, you find yourself going, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what the problem is. You know what I mean? Like, it does hold. If you get really mad about something silly.
And so apparently, some artists are hiding the fact that they're doing AI generated art and saying, no, this is 100% me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is it's being treated as a mark of shame.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. What? Yeah. You know how to get scritches. You know the scritches rule. Yeah, I know. But you know how to get scritches. It's not that hard.
There Daddy, scritch me.
Right. Reach down here and scritch me.
This instance.
But I mean, here's a good example. I drew these just now based off of. Wait, how are we not equal? There we go. I drew these based off of AI art, and I mean, they're close, but they're not exact. See, now this is how it switches. Needs a George break. I have to have a George break. I have to have now George's butt. Hi, George's butt. You're a weirdo. Yeah, I agree. And I'm super open about this. Now, if we ever have actual Yaz in the story, I won't be using the AI art for it. I'll build myself just like I do everything else. I'll build myself a 3D model and operate off the 3D models. But the initial design is going to come from this AI generated thing because I told it to make me cute little aliens.
Yeah, it's also being hindered in another way that the AI art is being hindered so it won't completely take over right now. And that's because the companies that are putting it out are trying to make it wholesome and family friendly, so it can't do gore, it can't do porn, it can't do that sort of thing.
And though I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea of not being able to make porn with your favorite actress that really would never want to do porn to begin with, I'm not opposed to that. I do think not being able to do nudes is a problem.
Yeah. and not being able to
Hey,
do gore.
Madeline. I'm sorry you're
Like,
anxious. But this should be calming. We're calmingly drawing art, so hopefully that will help your anxiety.
yeah.
And my cat just sat on the keyboard.
Hey, there you go.
There, we'll bring the. And I suppressed my natural dad instincts.
Oh,
Well, Madeline came in here and said, "Hello, I'm anxious," and I did not, in fact, say, "Hello, anxious, I'm dad," which, is
you've
my
done
natural
before.
instinct. I am known to say that.
Um, the thing is like, while gore isn't, it's a part of my comic. Like, I cannot work on pieces of my comic because of that restriction.
Hey, Diggs.
Not
How
that
you
I'm gonna,
doing? I'm sorry. We're
not that
getting a
I'm
lot
gonna,
of traffic all of a sudden, and I'm not sure that Madeline's on the line. So I'm worried we have I don't know what that has to do with what we're doing. The only person who can give you any kind of advice, my friend, is not on this morning. So,
what is, huh?
oh, Madeline's talking about kissing a guy, and he's a guy. And I'm like, okay, but that's not what we're talking about. So it's all right.
But
So
it's fine. Like,
yeah, and we're both
there's,
straight. The only gay person in here is not on this morning, so can't give you much advice on that one. Except that maybe you're not straight, which is totally fine. Or maybe you're bi, and that's totally fine as well. So anyway, I don't know if I'm worried that I'm like engaging a troll. But anyway, I've gone off and digressed because I'm actually finding it difficult to get George to leave. So drawing has become complicated. You've made drawing complicated, you analyst. You know that, right? So gore and things like that. Somebody was posting. Am I still like not scritching you? Is this the thing? Somebody was posting in Midjourney, and they were doing a very interesting thing. They were talking about an unborn child in the womb, but like the prompt was sort of like a cross section, and the pictures were amazing and somewhat disgusting. You know what I mean? Like it was like really fascinating and cool and creepy, and it was interesting. It was very, very interesting. Okay, but I have to get back to work. Get that right? This doesn't matter to you, does it? Because you're small and fuzzy, and this is your life. I get it. All right. I think you have decided to go somewhere else. I can get back to work. Anyway. Hi. How are you? Oh, we've got sex people in the private dating chat. Let's see how fast I can kill them. Not very fast because usually I can get them pretty fast, but this time I didn't. Because somebody is thumping me in the nose. You're full of hair, you know that. So what's going on, Diggs? Tell me what's up. Okay, now is this better? Because now that you're laying down, please don't tear up my Akira class mat. I like my Akira class. So I think when we block them on Restream, they're supposed to delete them from our stream. But there's an error that happens every time. So, and it says reload, but I don't know how to reload the page. So, I mean, without reloading the page.
Yeah.
Some users like, really? Really? Okay, you're a super pest. I love you, you're a pest. All right. Uh-huh.
I do have to wonder though, who is pushing this with the AI and why?
Pushing what?
The development of the AI artist. What group is doing it? Because it seems the timing seems fishy.
Really?
Yeah. Here it is, the collapse of NTFs, and suddenly there's AI artists. So I'm wondering if the tech bros are now looking for their next fast dollar.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
I mean, it was bound to happen at some point.
Open AI? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there have been a lot of pushes in a lot of different fields. And I'm not 100% sure that it's not normal. You know, the natural curve of things. I keep thinking about, remember Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within?
Yeah.
And that was super creepy because they were in the uncanny valley. And recently I just saw Unreal 5's metahumans, and they look like people. They look and they respond and they act like people. And so kind of feeling like, it was a natural extension of that, where, I was convinced in 1999, I was convinced that they would never really beat the uncanny valley. But I don't feel uncanny valley vibes from Unreal. Or for that matter, even Black Desert Online, which is a gaming engine game, but it's just so pretty. And the characters are super pretty, And I was pretty sure that there'd be no way.
I had the opposite feeling when I saw that movie.
Oh, yeah?
When I watched it, and yeah, the characters were creepy and the expressions were slightly off, I looked at it and went, "This is just the start." It's like,
Yeah,
it's
I
only
mean,
gonna get better from here, and I knew it was just a matter of time before they worked their way out of the uncanny valley. And I was looking at it as, this is where we are heading, and it's
sure.
just gonna get better from here.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, spirits within. Yeah, some user, it's let's see here. So it was 2001. So it wasn't 99, it was 2001, but I mean, we
Still,
were
that's 2 years off. That I think you can be
yeah,
forgiven for
I, I
that.
I'm doing the thing where um it says meaning I'll win. That's funny. I didn't mean to Google Lens it. I Google Lensed it. But I mean, this is where we were in 2001, right? And I mean, nowadays, obviously, just Unreal 4 can run this. Spirits Within runs real time in Unreal 4.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you say,
Well, look at PT. Silent Hill PT.
yeah, I mean, this is. Why am I getting an ad? Oh, because I don't have my ad blocker on here. Yeah, this is a metahuman. Right? And I mean, you're hard pressed to say that this is. And I mean, this is real time. It's not rendered. This just happens. You can program her to do whatever you want. She's got all of her controls. And she looks straight up pretty good. There's a little bit of uncanny valley, but it's not bad. They're concentrating on the mouth because the mouth is generally a place where you can clearly see a problem. And the eyes. I've actually been messing with metahumans. They're wild. And fun. And super creepy. And I really should not be running any video off of that because it does not have, in fact, does in fact have.
But like, I think it's important for especially you to really study AI.
I think so too. It's making me feel better.
Well, also because you are in the position you're in with the con, I think having that knowledge and that time that you've taken to really study it means that you're going to have a much better informed decision with how to handle things going forward. And you're going to hit the point in which you're like, okay, let's do it eventually. Let's we know what it is. We know how we want to define it. It isn't that you're opening up the floodgates, you are making a very, very informed decision when you go to make that decision.
Right. And that's the big deal. Good morning, Brent. Logo 13. We're discussing AIs, and this is metahumans out of Unreal 5. And I mean, and every iteration of these metahumans is getting better and better at being realistic. And I mean, at this point in time, the concept of Cayman in my Navin Cayman in my comic is obviously stupidly simple, right? The only sci-fi part of it is that he's a hologram and can be pushed and touched physically. That's the only part that's sci-fi. Other than that, it's totally reasonable to think that he'd look like this and just be a human.
You know, it'd be hilarious for this character is if someone got a hold of his settings and started dramatically changing his appearance.
Oh yeah, well that's what we were talking about, was that he would decide to change his appearance from time to time and do different things.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is without his consent. Like having a storyline.
Oh yeah, that'd be
where
fascinating.
Someone hacks him and starts changing his settings without his and turns him into like a goober monster or whatever.
So here's another question about AI.
I'm listening.
Metahumans, they're all built off of actual people. Like, the metahumans are constructed from composites of humans. And nobody is crediting those humans, obviously. I mean, they're not direct, they're procedurally run.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Like, this is a human this is not a human, this is a metahuman that was built off of, you know, composites from people. I mean, she's adorable, but she doesn't look creepy. It's just bizarre to see this running real time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at his hair. It's so floofy. He's got such floofy hair. It's like when I cut my hair really short like this, it's so floofy. It's floofy. I kind of like it. Everyone's like, you kind of spiked your hair, and I'm like, maybe. I like it. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of makes me think about a lot of these things. A lot of this stuff makes me really think.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I've
what do we do?
I've got to hop off and do breakfast, so.
That's fine. I'll keep doing weird stuff today. I like that picture. Are we? This is very similar to that record picture you did.
Sort of.
I mean, as in,
Were
It's
you
sort of becoming a telltale of your style, so which is good, as in not a bad thing.
were you here when I explained the panel?
Yeah, that may have been last night.
Yeah, it was last night. So what happened is she's casting a spell to try to find all of the survivors of the wreckage. And so this is her in the center. The panel is kind of splitting out from her and finding the survivors. So if you look, the panel actually splits off into, connecting with everybody who has survived under the rubble. And
Mm-hmm.
she's currently finding everybody who's alive that's buried.
That's actually really pretty wicked. I don't know. I don't know, Colton. I don't know. So I wanted to create some alien creatures and critters, so I went out to AI and had the AI render things and do stuff based on prompts, descriptions of some of the things that going ahead and head off to breakfast, and then if you still got time after breakfast, you can come back in and rejoin.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. I'll catch you in a bit.
See ya. Colton, you can join too if you want. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I was using AI prompts to just give me ideas, and this is what we came up with. And I was looking for aliens that weren't scary, because I've already got one, not alien race that's scary, but a scary kind of, and then so I was trying to find one that didn't look terrifying, and I told the AI to make, cute things, cute aliens, and so it did. And so I'm just using that as sort of the basis of these concepts. If I ever use them in my comic, they'll be there. I've got sort of these guys. And this guy just doesn't look like he's scary, even with the little mad eyebrows. He'd be like, meh, meh, and you're like, yeah, you're not really that terrifying. So, Colton, you can join me if you got time before you head off to, work land. Sweet. So yeah, I'm just doing that, and I've kind of spun out this week a little bit. I messed up my animation stuff and ended up kind of screwing it up a little. Not in any permanent way, but in a very temporary way. And I think I've torqued off my boss a little bit, so I'm gonna have to lie low on the animations for a little bit. So there's that. So I am making myself feel comfortable and feel better by going back into some random world building stuff that I've been meaning to do for a while. Mostly because I am, sometimes I don't have unlimited, but I did do the $10 mid journey. So I can mid journey for a little bit, but it's not unlimited. I think it's like 2,500 or something, but I haven't run into 2,500 yet. So, here, no, Colton's coming up online. There's Colton.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing all right. Just getting some school shit done.
I've been down that road.
Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, give me a second. Hold on. I was hoping to get done with everything earlier that I had to do at like 9.
Uh-huh. You might as well come on here and just work with us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't the homework side. It was me reading all the critiques and everything, that pretty much clearing out my mailbox from school.
Right.
And I was like, I'll get around to it. So that's why I was like, oh, it's past 9. Oops. And I was like, oh, cool. You guys are streaming. Welcome to it.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, obviously, the idea is to make this as
there it is.
useful for you as possible.
Right.
Your
Well, those are cute.
yeah,
Even
that's
your
what I was
little like
thinking.
bug thing.
They're little adorable, things, and they're fine. I mean, they work. But the idea was that I was adding life forms that I wanted to make in the comic that were not.
Right.
So the whole idea was to use AI. We've been having a couple of weeks of discussion about AI.
I saw. I kind of did not jump in because I was like, oh no.
Right?
What's up, Max?
Oh, look, Colton's awake, says Jerry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very touchy subject right now for a lot of people.
It is, but we were trying to break it down in a reasonable, or at least I was trying to be reasonable, and I think I was communicating poorly because I agitated Pepper a lot. And so I don't think I was, but see, we can tell already that you're not an AI because look, it's got 5 fingers. And probably only 2 eyes too.
I mean, there is a few things that I've seen. Like, also, like, my friend took a picture. It was her sitting down like this, and it started like making it look like she was melting, and then like a nipple appeared out of her armpit, and I was like, what the heck? She's like, I don't know. This is weird.
Yeah, I mean, the AIs are learning.
They're learning, but that's also the other thing is like my biggest question with it is how far is too far?
Right.
And that's always been the question with every AI. How far can you literally let this thing go?
Well, I was just bringing up metahumans just a minute ago.
Oh, nice. Even better.
Unreal 5's metahumans. They're not hitting the uncanny valley as hard anymore. In fact, they're right on the edge of uncanny valley. So they're on this side of uncanny valley, whereas like, I was saying, compare this to say Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which was 2001, right?
Right.
And that movie was really heavy on the uncanny valley.
Mm-hmm.
And now Unreal 4 can render that real time.
Yep.
It took them a year and a half of rendering to get that movie through, and now Unreal 4 just does it real time. Doesn't even give it a second thought. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, well,
there's a lot to it right now, and that's kind of like, I'm just waiting. Like, I was talking to my friend last night about that too. I was like, I just really I'm more waiting to find out when they finally put restrictions on it. Like, you can't do this, because it was also stealing IPs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part I'm like, yeah, that's not right.
Well, that's what there's a call to action right now for everybody to render Disney stuff.
I know. I saw that, and I'm just like, whatever.
The
I'm like,
problem
just
is
because Disney has money,
great.
you're gonna get them to jump in? No, they're probably using AIs right now
Well, they are.
to do all their idea work, and they're not paying artists what they're going to be. We're not going to get paid what we're supposed
not
to
gonna
get
get
paid in
paid.
those industries.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. The problem is that, and I was saying, the short-term problem on this is going to be that it's going to make us obsolete. But the long-term problem is something that worries me a little bit more.
Mine, it's not going to make us obsolete. It's just going to change everything. Like everything, every time something changes, like you've known this in animation, you have to adapt. We have to figure out how to adapt to this thing, but at the same time, I don't know how right now it's going to work. And, oh my God, that heater is
Right? I mean, it's everything. It is everything. We're gonna.
So this new house, the heater is literally like right above my head, so it just busts on top of me. I'm like, this is getting way too much.
It's fine.
But yeah, like that's the thing is like we have to adapt to it, and I totally I get that, and I also like I'm not saying I'm not scared of it because I am.
Mhm.
I'm kind of scared of like everything that it's doing because people have already moved it into 3D modeling as well.
Yeah.
Moved it into everything, like everything that the art world does. People are putting the AI in there, and that's the part that I'm just like, okay. But at the same time, my friend did bring up a point. She thinks this is just going to be a trend, and then it's just going to spike. Like it's just going to nosedive.
Maybe.
I'm hoping.
I
Like
mean,
when she said that, I was like, I hope you're right with that one.
I mean, legitimately, it could. I also think that we'll fold it back into things, but the biggest concern that I have is Midjourney can produce like this. This is a great
Mhm.
example of it. Midjourney produced a whole bunch of random aliens, and I wanted them to be kind of cute, and it produced them in what, 45 seconds, a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how long would it take you as an artist if I said, hey, Colton, I want cute aliens, kind of furball-y with plant fronds or something like that for hands?
Nope.
How long would it take you to do it? Even if you were sketching at full speed, it would still take at least 2 or 3 minutes, if not.
I mean, to do about 30 of them, I'm going to need at least longer.
Yeah. So the biggest problem that I'm seeing is it's about money.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the industries,
takes so
like
much
the actual
easier.
industries that need it,
Yeah.
the artist is going to become something completely different. We're going to become touch-up artists. That's all we're going to become.
Yeah.
Because all the
looking up
portraits
this
and that
Midjourney
the AI, like, that's literally what I was like, we're going to get screwed because we're going to become touch-up artists because AIs can't generate hands and whatnot. We have to go in and fix those.
But that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, for some functions, that's awesome. I'm going to run a cyberpunk role-playing game. In
Yes, Max. We will just become
6
the ultimate tracers, just like inkers.
Right. But I'm going to run a cyberpunk role-playing game. And
Nice.
all the NPCs, I can just real quickly roll
Mhm.
them up in an AI. And, this is Joe Smith. He's trying to sell you drugs or whatever. And then if they kill him, I don't feel bad. Before, it was pretty brutal. I'd spend like 2 hours drawing up my NPC and they'd kill him off. I was like,
Right, and I get that part too. It's just like,
That's
but
gonna be
like
cool.
I know they've had like the generators for those have been there for a while too.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. That's a part that's useful. That's not all of it, though.
I just see. I'm more looking at it as like I told my friend, I was like, I get where you're saying it's a trend because it is right now for a lot of people just a trend, but it's more for me. What I'm looking at is the industry, and she's like, oh, I
Yeah,
get.
the industry that's the part that worries me.
Like it's the
speed
industry
at
side of
which I can
everything.
do this
Yeah.
and have it done and get it done is so freaking fast.
Because I was telling her, it's like it's the industries that where what motion capture cleanup is the 3D. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much after that, like, yeah, we're pretty much just going to go into cleanup modes. That's all the artists, like the artists that are working in the industry of entertainment are just going to become cleanup artists now.
Mhm.
And that's the part that I'm like, that kind of sucks because you can't be creative. The only industries that are actually going to be fine is the physical art industries, mostly. Not fine completely, but they will be better off because people still need physical product. Doing everything digitally, that's the hardest one right now.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's
like I was telling my friend, I was like your friends, like the tattoo artists, our friends that are tattoo artists, they should be fine. Because I already know they're making 3D printed guns, like guns where it will like shoot a laser onto your skin, do the whole art and all that stuff for you. But nobody has that kind of money.
Right.
Like that's a lot of money to do that. The AI engine for the art and all that, this has all been free. All we're doing is just giving it information. Like we're technically paying it.
Yeah.
And after I explained it that way, she's like, "Yeah, okay, I get where you're coming from with this." I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm not like pissed about it. But, like I definitely wish it wasn't blowing up this quick." Oh, the laser printer tattoo's already out. It's just super expensive.
Yeah.
They've already made it. It's like the price for the equipment and everything that you need for the startup for that, like that's a lot of money. But also there is a difference between a laser printer printing a tattoo on you compared to an artist doing a tattoo on you, because you can sit there and have a conversation. You can talk with them. You can be like, "Oh, that hurts. All right, cool. Let's take a break." We mass produce like 3D printer. Yes, we are mass producing. Like the 3D printing side went haywire as well. That's why I don't see this AI thing going away anytime soon. But yeah, I've heard some of your guys' conversations, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna step out for a bit. I don't know if I need to be a part of this.
Oh, guys, it's the same place. Oh, come on.
Is Windows giving you problems?
No. Daz.
Oh.
Daz. Ugh. I swapped out the maps for this.
Mm-hmm.
And
the maps?
Yeah, the bitmaps.
Oh, okay.
I swapped out the bitmaps and made newer. And why is she smaller? Hey, hell, people. But anyway, I made smaller maps or not smaller. I made new maps. I updated all of the maps, but then I moved everything into a different folder. When you do that, then Daz freaks out and has to ask you where every one of the calls is.
Yeah, everything moved to a different folder. Where'd you put it?
And so even though it all went to the same different folder, it has to go, wait a minute, what about this one? It's right where it was. What about this one? Same one. What about this one? Same one.
It hasn't moved. Hasn't moved.
Since the last one you did.
That's funny.
And once again, George is up here.
Hi, George.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm not sure about. Okay. And this is actually something that I was saying to Can might be very good for me. Because I use, as we all know, I use these maquettes to do my characters.
Uh-huh.
She's not that small. Whoa, she's not that large apparently either. Hi. How are you?
Were you explaining to Kan?
So,
hi George. You're like in the screen.
yeah, like George is here, like right here. Like George wants scritches now, and I am not acquiescing. I use these maquettes to just make it faster, and that's all I'm doing. Yeah, cat bomb. Totally getting a cat bomb. Oh well, it's what he is. He's a cat bomb. You're a cat bomb. At least you're not giving me your butt. That's irritating. So, Shaky Gamer is back. Shaky Gamer, this is George. He's also part, apparently, of the show, or at least he wishes to be part of the show now. At this moment, he wishes to be part of the show. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, what happens when I teach an AI to draw my characters? They're mine, right? Here's a new.
I'm not saying that they're not. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, let's say just what some user is talking about here, right? What if I teach an AI my style, and then say, "Hey, draw me 6 panels where Chang is doing this and Bennett's doing that, and they're talking to each other, and da 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 da," and it rattles out a page in my style. Did I draw that? You know what I mean? Now we're in that weird gray area of, now wait a minute, not only is it my style, it's my work, and I prompted it, but an AI drew it.
Right.
Then it becomes really weird. That's where things get squiggy, because that was actually what I was trying to do, was get Midjourney to draw stuff in my style, just to see, what would happen. Could I get Midjourney to make more panels for me? I mean, I enjoy drawing panels. I enjoy doing my panel work. I enjoy doing all of that stuff. But if you were pressing me and saying, "Hey guy, I need a comic out next week," I could see.
That's also the problem with the industry too, where it's going to go. Is they're like, "Oh, you guys, usually takes you a month to finish a comic. Now that we have an AI, I want it done next week."
Right.
And that's here's the problem that I'm having with that. We're becoming it's the instant gratification that I've talked about in the past on here. It's like people want everything now, everything like no one wants to wait for something, give it 2 weeks. Like TV shows now, they drop the whole season. We don't watch episode by episode. We watch either the whole thing or nothing,
Right. But unless you're on Paramount, at which time Star Trek is doled out 1 week at a time.
Well, I mean, they choose to do that with that one because they want more traffic, which they're realizing that's how they keep their traffic, is making everything going back to a weekly set. They can keep traffic coming. And also at the same time, people don't realize by not binging a show and watching it every week, you actually remember a lot more from that show.
One step closer to Skynet. Well, Jerry, I was showing you. So,
I mean, if you want to go that extreme, yeah, we're going towards Skynet. If I see Arnold Schwarzenegger in a younger body, I'm gonna start freaking out.
Yeah. Wonder.
But it is that's the thing. Like, I would love to watch a show, like binge it and whatnot, but like the shows that even get dropped every week, like I only watch like maybe an episode or 2 a sitting because I want to remember it. Like I've realized like there's like Stranger things like that, like the ones I binged, I barely remember what happened those seasons. And that's just because I binged a whole thing. I'm like, I enjoyed it. I remember that part. I remember bits and clips of it, but like I don't remember everything that I used to remember. And that's the part that scares me with this like part of it too. It's not even like scares me, but it's people will forget about you quicker if you're not producing fast enough.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it.
It's called Tesla.
Tesla. I mean,
he is buying Twitter.
Maybe. So some users
Right
saying
now,
that
yeah.
it's really just a denoising algorithm. And though I agree, the fact that I get different critters,
Results.
yeah, that's not a denoising.
Mine's not even just denoising. It's literally like you're getting different styles. You're getting everything. Like it's pulling from everything.
Yeah, I mean, like
Like
I
I've seen
told it.
friends, like literally, here's the thing I have with that. Like I've seen friends literally just type in certain things and it's still picking things up off of what they actually like in
Right.
style.
Like
I'm
I
like,
told it,
oh, that's dope.
right? I told it to do this because I wanted crystals merged with something, you know,
Uh-huh.
pink or whatever to create critters. And this is the critter. This isn't a denoising algorithm.
No.
This is something else. Right? But these are all variations on the theme. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I can see, I can see kind of what you're saying, some user, because I do agree, but to some
I agree
degree,
there is some form of denoising, but I know it's not. I know it's pulling crazy things out of nowhere. I don't even think it's nowhere either. I just think it's literally pulling everything off the wall. But still, there's IPs, there's things that aren't even supposed to be seen, like seeing the world that it's pulling from.
mm-hmm.
Like it's going through firewalls and things like that. That's where I'm like, this isn't.
Well, that's a different problem. I feel like there's
I
two
know. That's
problems
where I
going
was saying
on.
that it could be considered. That's where I think I'm like, this is where the AI side kicks in because it doesn't understand the rules and recs of it.
Yeah, but I feel like, I feel like we have one problem with AI, which is it's coming for our jobs. We have another problem with AI, which is it's pulling from our already existing work.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two different problems because one can be handled pretty quickly with copyright law.
As long as you put in, but you have to figure out how to copyright it digitally now.
Yeah. And so you kind of end up with,
because I know we also had this problem too when not Bitcoin. What was that one that came around with Bitcoin and everything with art?
yeah, maybe. And some user, I'm not saying you're wrong. I see sort of where you're coming from on this one, but I think that there's a little bit. I mean, because the problem that I've got is we are tantalizingly close to the same way humans do things, and if you start banning a machine for doing it the same way as a human does, not even talking about if AIs ever gain sentience, but I am saying you're going to find pushback from the people who use the AIs because technically that's exactly what human does. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be difficult.
I mean, concept artists do exactly what this is doing. We literally
a
whole bunch of reference.
We photo bash.
Yeah, I mean, there's photo bashers. There's all that.
And we're photo bashing to make it fast, and that's an acceptable practice, especially when we're talking about just throwing out concepts for you to see, right?
But also those concepts are never seeing the light of day.
Right.
That's the thing. They're only staying within the company half the time, and the company's the one that owns them. Like the Disney locker. There's a lot of things in the Disney locker no one will ever see to this day because Disney.
No, but I mean, like Trekkies are notorious for getting into everything. I just saw the other day the concept art for the SETI eels pass through, right? Those are the original drawings of the SETI eels from Star Trek 2. And all of the drawings of how it worked and what they did to make the effect and yada yada yada, which as a Trekkie, I love every last minute of that. And that was really cool. And so I mean, we're notorious for getting into vaults, and Trekkies themselves are notorious for digging deep. And I have seen photo bashed concept art. They put it out in books. They're not even apologetic about it. They just do it. So I don't know. I mean, I think all of us on this thread are pretty are in agreement that as long as you say it's AI based, it's not bad.
I don't see it being AI. I see it being an AI right now, and it's not fully an AI, but I see it literally by the end of it, it's an AI. It's going to be one. It's the starting of an AI.
Yeah. Like a Skynet.
Because right now, what everybody's doing is literally giving it all the information it needs to become a full-blown AI.
I sneezed, and George is like, "Wah!"
The demon has left you.
I know, right? What happened to you? Yes, I'm laughing at you because you're weird and fuzzy. I don't know. Oh no!
Actually,
no.
this can easily make a photographer out of business too.
I mean, I'm not, and some user again. Make sure that we're clear. I'm not defending in any way. What I see is, like I had said the other night, if we don't batten down the hatches and know exactly what we're trying to say and what we're trying to ask, we're going to lose this fight the same way that every other person has, or every other profession has lost the fight. And I feel like this is one where you'll lose artists, and then AIs will just do all the art, and what you'll end up with is there's no new art past, say, 2024, or 2028, or wherever it was where we phased out the artists finally. We will see no new creations. I do think, though, that there might be a resurgence of this was hand drawn. This is AI art, or this is non-AI art. Like we will say on our comics, they're hand drawn or whatever, and not AI. That makes it questionable for me for what I'm doing right here.
Well, I mean, that means it's just going to bring in a surgence of everybody that wants traditional work again.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always a lot of people that want traditional material, like hard, like what did you do? Like the traditional artist is going to be like, they've always been a huge thing and always making money, but if you do it right. But I think that's where we're at that point too. It's going to bring back those people too, to more of a Monet like style of everybody's wanting to know who they are,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, they've been doing that already at conventions. At conventions, people have already been trying to sell AI art.
Yep, we've actually,
and they're already making money off of it.
NDK has put a rule out that already says that we cherish our artists and their ability to draw, and AI art is not allowed.
It's not even that though. Well, I'm not saying that part, but like for that part though, it's Funimation and all them when they came through and like wiped out a whole convention's art room.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like, no, we're making sure that everybody's staying within the rules and recs. Like I think they've probably been through anime.
They went through our
area
too, yeah.
And they'll put holes, like the next day when I walked in, there was holes in banner walls everywhere, and I was like, a lot of holes. I was like, oh wow, you guys really did clear out.
Mm-hmm. That was a brutal day.
We've come a very long way, Max, from smearing paint on the canvas wall.
Yeah, well,
No, there was a lot of brutal stuff to it, and that's where I'm like, no, and I get it. I totally understand. I agree at the same time, but there is also a point of being a fan artist and
Makes us an
being
artist.
yeah. Using other people's ideas to make a living is different than actually making your own creations and having those blow up. Because even when you hit that point, somebody's going to start stealing your stuff too
Yep.
and trying to make money.
That's sort of what I'm wondering about. Is like, I mean, personally, I'm a comic artist.
Mhm.
I don't even really think I'm that good of a comic artist, relatively speaking, as far as artist goes. But
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a bad artist. Just I'm no artist. I mean, it takes too long for me. I take a long time, and to speed things up, I use a whole bunch of time-saving maneuvers.
Mhm.
The value in my story is that it's a story, and a world and a universe that I'm building here. I think that's really the value of what I'm doing. And so, and don't worry about it, guys. I'm not down on myself. What I'm trying to say, though, is that I think it'll take a while before AIs can make a convincing, compelling story. And at that point in time, you have to ask if that's a legitimate option. You know what I mean? Like, if it's creating compelling stories, is it then really like something we need to stop? You know what I mean? Like, stop it, or do we ask it to join the Federation, sort of thing? At that point in time, if it can make stories that are compelling, that are unique and different and convincing, then maybe at that point in time it understands enough about human nature that we ought to be looking at it in a different manner.
Right.
That's something to think about. I'm kind of that. But until then, I think the comic artist is probably not going to be threatened much by AI directly. We've never been, oh wow, look at our awesome artwork ability. We're comic artists. We're drawing fast, we're drawing loose, and it's
Trying to get our pages out so people can read stories.
Right. The whole point so you can read the story.
Like, it's all about story for that part, and I totally get that part too.
The only thing I see AI having a problem with in that manner is that we will, the writers, the comic writers, will no longer need to hire comic artists, and it's going to turn to everybody doing what I do all the time, which is write my own stuff and draw my own stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to pretty much like Great Depression.
Yeah, or manga style.
I mean, well, that's what I was saying. The Great Depression. Everybody's just gonna start doing their own stuff, their own styles, their own everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just pushing out comic books because they got nothing else going on, or they're trying to get it back out. Because that was actually when Superman and all that came through too.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pushing out things way during that time, and even before that.
Oh, sure.
And then we go into the 90s, and that's when like Image and all that started. Like, everybody was breaking away from the mainstream stuff again. Like, no, let's create our own. Let's start doing our own stuff again.
Yeah.
Like, it's a resurgence. It happens every few decades that everybody finally gets tired of trying to chase the Marvel DC dream or the big two dream or whatever, whoever is the biggest thing in the world. And then they move on, and then they finally start creating their own stuff, and then we get a whole new resurgence of new stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I feel like that's where we're going to be.
For video games, that's the thing for me is like, I am a little more worried because I was trying to get into games and things like that. And now I'm like, well, the concept art world just got changed.
It's going to be hard at that point in time. But, I mean, if you've got to be a touch-up artist And I mean, if you put yourself out there and say, I'm a traditional artist and also I can work AI, do touch up and clean up.
I mean, it's extra money in your pocket, which is great.
That's what I was thinking too. In that instance, that might be where we end up, whether we like it or not. That'll be
it's just going to be a side hustle. That's pretty much what it's going to have to turn into.
Yeah, that'll be the dirty job. The job that we don't talk about with our friends because it's not considered. It's not considered honorable or whatever. It's going to be. That's what's going to happen.
It helps me pay my bills.
Yeah.
And I get that.
It's like the comic artists that draw porn. Not all of them are really hot on the idea that they're drawing porn. I've actually had that thought process a couple of times. What do I do if somebody says, I'll pay you $200 to draw your characters naked? It's like, what do you do at that point? Well, $200 is $200.
You raise the price.
Yeah.
If they really want it, they'll pay you more.
Well, yes, I'm being facetious, but
I know. I mean, I'm just saying, it's one of those ones though, like that's literally what I would do is like, you want to draw your characters, blah, 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 doing this. I'm like, yes, but here's my price range. And they were like, well, I can't afford that. I'm like, cool. I guess it's not worth it.
Right.
Like, I really don't want to draw it, but everybody has a price to do something. And if you can hit that price number to actually make me go, okay, I'll do it.
I guess I'll do that. Yeah.
I know some people, that's how they made a lot of money too. Like they make a good amount of money just by like, you know what? Not just by drawing porn, but like, I'll do it, but this is my price range right now. And people are like, okay, here you go. And they're just like, crap.
Right. Now I've done it. But I mean,
have you ever had a commission after you were done? You always told yourself you should have charged more.
Yes, I hate that.
When you have that feeling, it means you need to raise your prices.
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. Well, and everybody's been arguing with me about. It looks like an ostrich. Everybody's been arguing with me about not raising my.
Oh, I'm not saying that your prices aren't like where they need to be. I was just saying, and just in general, if you ever have that thought in your head, and this is for anybody that listens and does art or whatnot, like if you ever have that thought, I should have charged more. That's when you should start raising your prices.
Yep. We've gone off the line. So yeah, I mean, that's my thought process is that we'll probably end up with AI artists who don't want to admit to their buddies that they're AI artists.
I mean, that's fair. I wouldn't really want to admit it too. I'd be like, I mean, it pays my bills.
Yeah, it pays the bills.
That's what I would tell them. I'm like, it pays my bills. I'm not happy about it, but at least I'm living.
Yeah.
And I can do what I want to do. But also at the same time, like, even the cool thing about, like, the only thing I could think about being a touch-up artist is that for newer artists, it wouldn't be bad because they would be learning in a way, fixing hands all the time. You'd be getting better at hands and how to construct a hand.
Excellent hands.
Like things like that, you would see it.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually like my teacher was like, Colton, how'd you do this picture? I wanted you to trace it so you could just focus on painting. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't told him this yet. I was reading it this morning because he finally got back to me, and I was gonna be like, I'm trying to be better as an artist, not just a painter. I want to be all of it. So I'm trying to also do everything with drawing it and also painting and making sure I can do all of it at once.
Let me try.
Which I know that's probably what he's like wanting, but like I want you to be
the exposure. You need the exposure of the characters.
But at the same time, like he's like, this is a painting class. I'm like, I get that, but like, why can't I make this into both? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I know he would understand it. I just haven't sent that message yet, just because I was also a little annoyed because he's been absent for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, you never know what the story is.
I know he has something going on. I don't know what it is, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm kind of a little spiteful right now about it. I'm like, dude, you've been gone for how long? And now you're coming back and trying to tell me that, like, I've been training myself technically through your modules and all this stuff for like the past like 3 to 4 weeks. And now you want to come in and start telling me like, don't be doing this. I'm like, you should have said that 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago, you know?
Yeah, at least appreciate that. Yep.
Problem is the hardworking people.
Yeah, I
have to-
agree with that. That's my problem is speed. But what we're talking about is not only that, because that is definitely a true thing. I'm worried about what Colton just brought up, which is that it will shift the curve, right? Before, it takes a month to draw a comic. That's already pushing a standard comic artist. I put out issue 1 in August, late August, early September, and I have barely started issue 2. Today notwithstanding, but normally I'm doing all these other things to make money, and I just don't have the time to devote to issue 2 to where I can put it together in any reasonable speed. So part of this is that, you guys watch me on stream every day, and I keep myself in your mind. So you're always remembering. And then whenever I do finally create issue 2, it's going to be, you'll remember and you'll go buy issue 2 or whatever. And that's what I'm kind of banking on. But it is sort of a problem if, let's say, Colton decides to Colton and all of everybody else in our little group starts putting out AI generated comics. You're not the problem. But I mean, if everybody else in the group started generating AI generated comics, then you'd end up with a Colton comic every week and one Guy comic every 3 months. And at that rate, you won't remember me. I'll get phased out into the noise. And in this instance, Colton's not doing anything. He is just as capable an artist as I am. There's nothing wrong with him. It's not like he's not a good. Thanks. It's not like he's a bad artist or anything like that. It's just that now I really feel like I should use AI to generate my art just so I can catch up with Colton. And I certainly can do it, but that's part of what I was talking about before. I use the maquettes already because I can't draw a scene fast enough without maquettes. With the maquettes, I can draw it faster. I can do a page in an hour,
but not even just that though. It's you're drawing it faster, but it's how much time is literally spent on breaking down pages because you're constantly redrawing, going back over, going, this page isn't doing it right. Doing the maquettes helps you literally plan out your scenes faster.
It totally
but at the same
does.
time, even there's a lot of artists out there that I even consider that as a cheat.
It is, and every time I run into those artists, I go into the imposter syndrome spiral. So I think,
and that's, I'm not saying that like you're cheating. I'm not one of those people. I'm like, no, do it, get it out quicker so you.
No. You're not. I'm just saying. I think you and
I just want to verify that very quick. I was like, I don't do that.
You and many other of my friends now are trying to block those people from getting to me because you guys know I go into an imposter syndrome spiral.
It's not even that. It's just that they don't, like, most people that actually do say that, like, they don't understand what it takes to actually push out a book. Most of those people that actually do speak out that way don't know what they're talking about. They just like, oh, that's not real art. I'm like, well, how many comics have you published?
Right.
How many deadlines have you met?
Well, and I have to have struggles with this all the time because of who I am.
Yeah. I mean, we're always going to have those struggles, but yeah. I'm just saying that in just general that, like, I was like, no, I had this conversation with someone before and I literally said that. I was like, how many comics have you published? How many deadlines have you met? And they always go, oh, what's that have to do with it? And I was like, so I'm guessing 0. I'm guessing you haven't done anything, or you've only done one book and you think it's the best thing in the world, but you've never pushed it since.
Right.
And then we get into a whole nother conversation. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of the people that actually do, like, bounce back at people for like using shortcuts and cheats and whatnot and all that. Like, they don't understand the industries. They just have whatever ideas in their head.
Mhm.
But for us who actually have done stuff in the industries and whatnot and all that, like, it is like, my teacher and me had a conversation about this with the whole AI thing. He's like, this is just the newest thing that's coming through. It either is going to stay or it's going to fizzle out. I doubt it's going to fizzle out just because I know how it is. And most of my teachers are terrified because, like, we're art teachers. Like, we're not technically going to be obsolete, but like, now what we also do on our side hustles, our side jobs, like, all my teachers work in the industry that they are teaching. They're also the reason why, like, I like this school too, is because they work in the industry. So they see these things coming through and how it's affecting the industry. So they have to figure out before us how to adapt it into a teaching method. And even half of them are like, we don't know how to do this right now. Like, this is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, honestly, Can and I have been poking around trying to figure out what we can use AI for. I have decided that AI is the best for writing stupid, raunchy songs that my bard sings in the D&D game. Because I've got an AI chat generator, and you can say, make a tavern song about, a cleric in love with a princess, or,
That's awesome.
a priestess, and it's forbidden, or whatever. And then it makes a raunchy song, and then I just sing it in the middle of the D&D game. And it's awesome because it makes my bard feel like, she's actually doing these things.
A little bit more character, a little bit more alive.
It's a lot more fun. My bard is a trip anyway. She's bizarre.
Most bards are.
Yep. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And that's
a campaign of nothing but bards. Guy. Aren't you in a campaign with like nothing but bards?
No. Although the campaign has the strongest characters right now are the bards. As ones that have the most spike of story.
Right.
The bards are the ones that have the most spikes of stories, the things that happen. But
I remember we were talking about your campaign one day on, I think, here, and you were just like, "Yep, blah 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 blah." I'm like, "How many bards do you have?" Like, we keep it fun.
It's a lot of bards, but that's okay.
I like bards. Bards are fun. I actually finally played one, and I actually really enjoyed it. I was like, this is actually a lot funner than I thought it was ever going to be.
Sure.
But yeah, in regards to everything on this, like, I'm curious where it's going to go. I hope it doesn't take people's jobs. I hope it just enriches the experience for everybody. But I'm still being very pessimistic about it at the same time.
Cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one reason, like, I just kind of been sitting back and just watching. I'm like, is this doing what I think it's going to be doing? Probably. That's my problem there in the head.
Yeah, I agree with you. Some user and that's the biggest. I think really what we're looking at is a bunch of moral problems.
Right now, it's moral, which is always a thing when stuff like this pops up.
Yeah, it'll always be something. Morality issue is a problem with it, and I get that. So. But I mean, here again, that's why I use these maquettes to start on all things, and I'm just basically tracing them. And so and I'm aware of the fact that I do that. And generally speaking, as a side note, when I manually draw these characters and don't use maquettes underneath them, I feel like they're much better looking. I feel like they look better. They're, but it takes 5 times longer, and that's the problem. So I'm aware that I'm sacrificing quality and style in favor of that. Also, as Pepper has pointed out, these are heavily modified DAS models. In fact, what's left of the original DAS Genesis 2 is very minimal here. Everything else has been manipulated by me. I've gone in and sculpted and changed and altered. So one can argue that even the underlying 3D is mine. You know, the difference and change in the characters now are so different that she's not the same thing anymore. You know, these characters aren't the same thing. Which,
Right.
that's true. But I don't think everybody does that. I don't need to worry about you. You're correct. I do need to worry about you. Let's browse. Because that's body.
Yeah, I'm over here trying to get as much stuff as done as possible because we're going into the last 2 weeks before Christmas, and that means 6-day work weeks for everybody at my job.
Oh, yeah.
I had my one friend that was like, "That's crazy. They can't do that to you." I'm like, "It's literally 2 weeks out of the whole year they ever mandate this." So yes, and also when you sign up, they even tell you that. Like, this is the industry. This is if you don't like it, this is not the job for you.
Yeah.
It's literally
Yeah,
2 weeks out of the year. We mandate you, but here's the thing: we pay you.
Yeah,
They come in on your 6th day, like any day outside your days that you're not supposed to be working. So like, and that's within a five-day work week. The 6th day that they bring you in, they're paying us double time. So it is technically worth it. A lot of it, for me specifically, I'm like, I got shit to do.
Yeah, well, you're in.
But I agree. Say what?
You're in college too, so that doesn't help.
Yeah.
That's
I'm over here
complicated.
going, I still got school.
Yep, that's complicated.
Which is fine. And even when I even told my boss that, it's like, I'm not going to try and overwork you during next week specifically, because next week is my last week of school. It's just like, everybody's being mandated, you're being mandated. I'm like, I've been waiting for this day. I've worked for the company for almost 3 years now. Like, I know what I know what to expect around this time of year. I'm just happy that I got a good boss that actually understands what I'm doing. So he's I'll have you come in, but I may, if we're not busy, I'm going to send you out. It depends on the industry. So my day job, I'm in that industry. I have been published 10-ish times, 10 or more, I can't remember, in comic books. I do side gigs all the time, but nothing that actually really pays yet. I'm trying to actually get into the industry full time, so I'm not working technically two jobs and going to school at the same time.
And going to school at the same time. That's the important part, right?
But here's also the other thing. A lot of industry artists, not even just industry artists, just artists in general, they all work. They don't just do the one job. They're working in multiple different jobs. They have multiple different projects that are bringing in subsidized income from other different places. You got a lot of artists that do Twitch, YouTube, and they're doing comic books. They're doing teaching. A lot of the artists that I follow, they usually are doing technically 5 different jobs a year, and they bill in 5 to more jobs depending on who you are, but they're blending them all together so they have money coming in from different angles at all times. So if this one, let's say Twitch streaming drops, YouTube's kicking up, or their schooling's kicking up, or their industry stuff that they're working on for big 3 AAA game studios or animation studios is kicking up at that time. So they're always, when one's going down, they're still making money somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same. I have a teacher too. He literally this year, he's like, I'm so sorry. I took on this year, the company I just started working for 2 months before the semester started, just kicked off even more stuff for me. So I will be here. It's just going to be from this day and this day at these times exactly, but I will be here for all your answers as long as you show up within these hours. Or if you post anything before, I will make your video and all that stuff, so I will answer all your questions on Wednesday. if you post it on Tuesday and he's not available Tuesday. Like that's what my teacher does too for game assets. He does 3D modeling and all that. So he's like, I cannot say no to this. This literally is the income that literally makes, I just teaching that, but the income actually makes up for what him and his wife don't make up. So, and I totally understood it. And when he was very honest about it, he's fantastic teacher because he literally on the dot, 9 a.m. He's on there, he's posting, he's replying to everybody until about 11. He does about a 2-hour session. If you can jump in and talk to him, he's great and whatnot. But usually I'm doing other stuff. But yeah, that's even like this teacher, the one I'm working on right now. Like he's super busy as well. He helped create the Star Wars animated series, Star Wars Clone Wars, when the first one showed up. Like he did a lot of different things. But yeah, like he's constantly busy doing other stuff too, and that's why I'm like, I can't. But they also know when to turn everything off too. That's the other thing. They learned it like 9 to 5, and then we turn it all off. Sometimes they go later depending on the project, but most of the time, like, yeah, they try not and kill each other, kill themselves. But that's the thing as an artist is you got to find different ways to make money. And that's the part with this too that we were just kind of talking about is like can this still work in what we're working on, you know?
Mhm. And that's part of what I'm worried about.
Yeah. That's why I like hearing you saying like, no, I'm trying to figure out how to make this work for my comic. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad I hear that.
Yeah.
I would love to actually see where this goes, and I hope it goes in the right direction, and I hope it doesn't go in the bad direction.
I mean,
and that's the part I'm worried about, is that it's going to go in the bad direction because corporations are greedy and ugly.
I've been making AI generate buildings, which I will then build in 3D because it makes good sci-fi buildings that look nifty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they look kind of cool. I'm into these sci-fi buildings that it's making.
Right.
I'll bring up a couple of them that I've
I'd love to see them because I'm kind of curious on what it does, because that's actually something I'm kind of debating right now doing once this semester's over. I have a whole bunch of ideas I want to start pushing out more for my own portfolio and whatnot, so hopefully I can build a portfolio better.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's fascinating.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, I told it.
See, here's the problem with that one. That one looks exactly like an artist I follow, and that's the problem I have with it.
That's totally why it freaks me out a little too. But I could see this inside a dome, and legitimately, if it rearranged things so that it's not the person, I could then
I'm more saying style,
yeah,
choice of everything. Like it literally looks like a person I follow.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying.
And that's what the
terrifying stuff is really freaking terrifying.
I'm like, literally, that's that guy's staple. But at the same time, like I tell us people too, is like, don't rely on just one style. Like, you're gonna have to start changing it up sooner or later because the industry will change.
You should do that anyway.
You should.
But
and that was the one thing, like...
Here's some of the buildings I had it render and generate. You know? These aren't bad.
Those are pretty, and I hate it.
I know, right? Like, you know, like this.
Also, being an artist, I can't go up to anybody and be like, dude, I love your work.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to build these in 3D, and they will take on my own style. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm just saying that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm like, I can't go fanboy over anybody about this. Like, this is good stuff. Keep doing it. Like, yeah. I don't want to because it's no one's making it. Yeah. It's an AI making it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, here we're looking at like this here. I'm going to totally turn these into domes.
Right.
Like pressure.
It's also a great way to set up like a good concept too. Because that's like, that top right one is a great one to set up like a mountain scene or whatnot of just using the foreground, background, and midground.
Right. I mean, it's the design looks great and it's fine. It's totally fine. And I'm okay with, it looks pretty solid, stuff like that. I've also been asking it to make robots. And I mean, it makes some pretty terrifying robots with 62 fingers. But since they're robots.
Yeah, but see, that makes sense for robots, though.
Right? Like, I had it variations on this.
Democratize art while creating art.
So it's like
art style art. I've never been one for like, this is my art style, this is my style. I know some people that like they freak out because they think they need an art style to be something, and literally they don't realize that that's never going to be a thing.
Yeah, I love the colors on this one.
But that's also because of people like, especially in the comic book community, that's because people like J. Scott Campbell, Jim Lee, Kirby, all those guys there literally had a style. I mean, but also at the same time, if you ever look at my favorite artist in the comic industry is Todd McFarlane. His style is nothing what everybody was like, oh, it's just Todd McFarlane's style. His style keeps changing because he keeps improving on his own to make sure it's not just a style. And also he knows that like if he just sticks to a style, he's going to be obsolete after that decade.
Yeah. I think it's funny, some users saying that they're talking about they're democratizing art.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, you're right, it's creating sort of an art commune internal.
It's gonna create one. It's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like one thing I did say to my friend is like, it is more terrifying, I think, for the starting artists more than the artist that's actually already in.
Agreed.
The starting artist, this just makes it harder for us to get in.
That's all we're doing. I mean, it'll be fine. We'll make it. It'll be okay. Why can't I find?
And that's the part that I'm terrified about. I just know how hard it's going to get for us to even get in the door.
Yeah, it'll be harder to get into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had that discussion with my wife this morning. I said, we've got to face reality a little bit with where I am. I'm 50 and I'm an artist, and the world is moving fast underneath me. And I'm likely never going to get, I've just spent the last 6 years effectively unemployed as far as the real world counts.
It's considered, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been unemployed the entire time, and so nobody's going to hire me. I'm not going to.
I mean, they will. It's just.
Well, that's what I said.
You are hired, though.
What I said was, right now we're counting on Colton being in a huge, big conglomerate company and dragging my butt in, instead of me putting out resumes and getting a job. That's never going to work anymore. Now it's going to have to be one of my friends going, you know who we need in this? We need Guy. And hauling.
It's literally networking. That's literally what it's going to be.
So, and unfortunately, all of my friends are all broke artists like me. So nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to drag my butt into a job.
I'm not gonna lie. I do it all the time still. Like, I had a friend, Lily, is like, dude, your art is getting so good, blah, blah, blah. Like, you should start doing comics again. I'm like, I will. You want to pay me to get back into it? And he's just like, never mind.
Guys,
he's like, I don't have the money to do that. I'm like,
Jerry, I love you, man. I love you, man. You're my favorite person. Oh yeah,
that was a conversation I had to have with one of my friends at. It was Rocky Mountain Con, I think.
Yeah,
it was Rocky Mountain Con or the one after. I can't remember.
I did kind of follow what you were saying, and I see what you're saying. You're totally right. I mean, instead of democratizing the art, it's turning it into anybody can do anything, a free for all. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I'm 50 now, and all of my normal skills, if you will, are aging out. I'm excellent at database work. However, the last time I actually did any kind of hardcore database work was at the turn of the millennium. You know what I mean? Like, so you could hire me to come in and work your database, but we're going to have to start with, this is what a PC is. This is how you use it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm aged out. Access is different now. It's not the same thing it used to be. So
There's a lot of things that are different now.
sure. I actually am in an excellent position right now being a driving instructor. But because of this whole Westwood thing, I don't have a degree anymore. Not having a degree means I can never be a classroom teacher until I go back to school and get a degree.
Which I think's stupid because you have the experience of being a teacher.
Oh, I totally do. I've got classroom.
And that's the part I'm like,
experience.
the
I've got
experience
classroom
side should
control.
totally overrule the degree side after that. Like if your
should.
school literally just crashes and burns, that should not be a factor anymore. I did the degree. I did my time. I even
Right.
got into the industry of being a teacher. That should be enough just to get me back into teaching.
Right, and it is something that I don't know. I should appeal or something. I don't know.
You
I'll go
can.
be friends
There
with
has to be a way to do
Jared
it.
Polis. I'll go be buddies with Jared Polis and then have him lean on it.
He probably would too if you bring it up to him. It's like, dude, this is stupid. Because we also, here's the thing, we need teachers.
We
The
need teachers
teaching
badly.
industry right now is so crazy, and
We
there
need
is no good
teachers
teachers.
badly, and I would happily do it. And I love being a teacher. I love being in classrooms. I love working with kids.
Mhm.
Like I am perfect for the job. And the only thing that's locking me out is that my degree is bunk, and that's a requirement.
Because your wife's a teacher too, right?
I'm sorry. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But on the same token, she doesn't have her certification because there's like 4 more steps that she needs to go through. So she can only be an ancillary teacher. She can only teach after school programs or, whatever. She was even talking about moving to being a preschool teacher in the district she's in, or the district she's in, requires her to have a certification in special ed. That's a requirement. And so
Hey, that
that's
kinda makes sense.
another like $3,000 that we've got to plunk down, and 6 months of school she has to go through where she can't work. So we lose money, we lose the primary income, and to get her to that point where she can get in the classroom. And I'm like, yeah, except that she's been working with special needs kids this entire time, and it's the same thing. It's not like she's not in a classroom.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's not like I haven't been in the classroom.
No, so that's kind of like, so there is, I've been watching or listening to a podcast lately, the Off-Duty Teachers or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring up some really valid points.
Thank you
a lot
very
of them are
much.
like, there's a reason why we all dropped out.
I would love.
Like,
in
there's a
fact,
reason why they've all dropped out of being teaching. They explained why. Like, it was all of them dropped out recently within this year because of how much more requirements got put back on them pre-2020.
Yeah.
They're like, we've been doing more work. We all, like, majority of us all have master's degrees. Most masters make way more money than us in any other industry, but like, and you're expecting us to do more work for not a living? Like, that don't make sense.
right.
And you keep putting more and more stuff on us, and it's not even like, even for them, it's like, we're not the ones making those decisions. It's all the people that have their hands in the cookie jar.
Yeah. Well, that's part of that's part of the problem that I see. And there's a bigger problem with a lot of people are very concerned about how their children are being taught.
Mm-hmm.
Very concerned and have opinions about what you're teaching. And it's the problem that I've got with it, of course, is there we go. That's you and then you.
Because I was actually thinking about doing teaching for a minute there. I was like, maybe I should go into teaching just to figure out what I'm trying to do here until everything kind of fizzles out. But then I also found out I need a degree. I was like,
Right.
"Dang it."
Well, and that's the thing.
I was like, I just go do art and just like teach kids how to do art, or like get them inspired at least to do something like this or whatever. And then I started reading into it. And I was like,
Oh my
still
God,
can't
I
do that.
teach art. I would teach science. Heck, I worked on cars for years. I'd happily go in and teach mechanics. You know
If
what I
they
mean?
bring
Like,
that
I
back,
could
that'd be
know how to pull an engine.
amazing.
I'd have a blast. You know what I
I
mean?
wish
Like,
they would bring back actual
mechanics.
blue collar like classes like that again.
Man, working on cars, I'd do that. But I mean, that's the thing, is that I totally it's definitely a problem. I was actually talking last night about one of those that was irritating me. Too many hands in the cookie jar. So one of my high school buddies um, became a principal, you know, down in Salida, and last year sometime, one of his kids threatened to blow up the school, and he took the kid to lunch, talked the kid down,
Yep.
and then, you know, took him back to his house and calmed him down and got him off of the ledge. Found out that he's got problems with his family and stuff like that, and and then the police arrested him for harboring a minor and not reporting him to the police, not reporting letting the police found out, but then he wouldn't give them over to the police. Instead, he took the kid to a hospital to be taken care of.
He was trying to help out the kid. Yeah.
Right. And the police put him in jail. And they just tried him and found him guilty of harboring a minor and kidnapping and a whole bunch of stuff that's obviously bunk. It's obviously bunk. And they did it because cops really just wanted to lock the kid away for threatening to, you know, it's the whole belief that, you know, if you punish one kid, all the other kids will be terrified and won't do it.
Yeah.
And instead, the kid just needed help. And
the kid just needed someone to talk to.
Yeah, kid just needed somebody to listen. And once they talked him down, he was fine. And this whole case shows that what they want the teachers to do is not interfere with that. Wait until they crack. Wait till the kids crack. Shoot people, then let them shoot the kid. That's what
I think
society wants, apparently.
We don't need more Columbines. I'm tired of Columbines.
Well, and that's the problem. I keep saying that. Even as a driving instructor, I only have these kids for 4 freaking hours, or for 4 days. 8-hour days. They're 4 8-hour days. So it's an intense amount of time that I've got kids. But even with that, last pass through, I had one girl. Something's wrong. Something's wrong in her world. Something's wrong at her house. Somebody's hurting her. It doesn't take. I mean, it's one of those things. I can see something's wrong. She's not. Somebody's mistreating her. You know what I mean? Like she failed the test, but she's not stupid.
Right.
And failing the test put her into hysterics because
she was,
she knew she was going to get a beating or whatever for it. I don't know what's going on, but you be around people long enough, you see the patterns, and I can see the patterns. There's something wrong with her, something wrong at home. And I reported it to my supervisor, but my supervisor's response was, "We're a driving school."
Yep.
You know, it's kind of like,
there's
nothing we can do. We let them go back home, and that's it. We're not mandatory reporters. We're not licensed teachers. We're not in the position of which to intervene, and so we can't. And so I kind of said that to my buddy. I was like, you know what? I can't do anything. You did do something. I said, I'm proud of you. I don't care what the law says in this instance. I'm proud of you. You put the kid first. You went in, you found out the problem. And then I said, this is the most open school thing for someone to get hauled off to jail for. Because we were always so politically charged in high school. I mean, we would go to the school board meetings. We were constantly at the Capitol getting involved in the Senate here. Nice. I mean, here in Colorado. like not politically charged like we were for Trump or for Biden.
But no, in that sense though,
politically
yeah, you
charged.
guys were being very you guys stood
were
up for what
being
you believe.
citizens. We were taught in open school to be mindful citizens. And I said, this is such an open school thing. They hauled you off because you put the kid first. You were a principal and you put the kid first.
Mhm.
I said, I don't care what they say. Don't ever lose the spark that made you do that, because that's
literally what we need. We need people like that.
I think actually that there was discussion of something, but we can't officially do anything. So whatever happened beyond my knowledge intentionally, like, so that I can't be held responsible. So if anything happened, it happened beyond me. So don't worry. Worry. I worry about all those kids. I got the neatest note once, because when I started my class, I said, I want everybody to put your names, the name you want to be called, and your preferred pronouns, if applicable, on these sheets of paper, please, so that I don't call you all Bob. And if you do not have your sheet of paper, I will call you Bob. This is the nature of the beast. Behold, the teacher has spoken. Because I have aphasia and ADD, and names are already a hard thing for me. I can't even remember my friends' names, friends that I've known for years. So, and I will know all about you at the end of this class. I will be able to tell you what kind of car you want to drive. I will be able to tell you about your siblings, and your name is Bob, because of the nature of how my brain works. But after the class was over, 2 of those kids were trans. And after the class was over, one of them gave me a note with a $50 bill in it that said, nobody has ever made me feel as comfortable in class as you did, just by that one thing. And I was like, okay. And they were like, just calling me they, them, instead of forcing me to be what I was,
He, she, whatever they feel like the person wants to call them. Yeah.
Yeah. They gave me a $50 bill, which I don't even know what to do with it, because I feel like I don't want to spend it, because that.
Right. Oh,
it was
so sweet. Funny, because I'm actually heading out.
You're out, bro.
I gotta go to work.
It's good chatting with you, Colton.
You too. We'll talk to you all later. The rest of you have a great day.
I hope you have fun. I hope you join us again.
I can. Bye, Can.
Bye.
Some user, I really appreciate you. I'm just saying, today, I appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you all the time. That didn't come out exactly the way I wanted it to, but I think you understand where I was headed. So, anyway, how you doing, Brian? How you doing, Kayan? What is my problem?
I am okay.
Are you still doing your kotatsu thing?
Yes.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you, man. I don't blame you at all. The laughing that I'm doing right now is not the ha ha ha. It's the oh yeah, I do that too. That kind of laugh.
Yeah.
There's like that. Ooh, no. I get it. So it's a thing. All right. I'm going to keep going for a little while longer so I can keep you company for a little bit longer. But I'm going to have to go do lunch at some point here. Stomach's doing the You do breakfast.
Well, if you need to hop off. I was just coming on
because for a little bit longer because I'm still doing the maquette rebuild on Mayrel. Since I'm rebuilding the maquette, I was like, I might as well hang and continue to operate here because I've done the. So for those of you who are watching at home, one of the things that happened over the last couple of days that was fun is I got into a weird mode where I was trying to do sort of a deep dive on my characters because I was a little spun out, and I didn't really want to have to do. I didn't want to have to get back into the fray. So I did this, where I sort of did a rundown on the characters. I had just updated all of our color codes and everything like that, so I wanted to make sure that my uniforms matched, and that I had an authoritative function for it. So I went on ahead and redid this, and while I was at it, I went on ahead and did all of her ribbons, which are the medals she wears on her chest. In that format that we have just recently talked about, where we talk about that the unity is a meritocracy. And so because it's a meritocracy, your awards are going to be your currency. That's how you operate in the culture. So the award system is going to have to be very, very firm. So I stole the concept from martial arts, because that's also a meritocracy. Martial arts is actually a very straight up meritocracy. The black belts are the elders, and they've got the knowledge, and the white belts are the newbies, and they don't have the knowledge. And it's very, very straightforward. So I went on ahead and just made the ribbon colors match sort of that concept. White is very basic, then up to yellow, then orange, then green, then blue, and then purple, and then red, and then black. And that gives you the ability to kind of just see at a glance where her skill sets are.
I like the idea that red is just high enough that you're put on alert by them.
Yeah. Yes. So, well, and I think everybody just thinks the red's cool. So they make the red belt right next to the black belt because red's a cooler color. I think that has something to do with, I don't know. Anyway, there's probably something. Anyway, so I went on ahead, and then these icons all indicate a different kind of class for her. And as I went through, I ended up with a fascinating read on this character, because she has 3 ribbons that she won't wear, 3 medals that she doesn't wear. Because we were talking about parenting should be considered a job and a task, and you should get merit for doing parenting. And so she has the parenting medal, but she lost her child. So she doesn't wear that medal because she doesn't want to talk about it, And she also, of course, has the teaching medal because she taught her child. And then she has this, taking care of somebody who is ill medal, which I may change later on because she doesn't actually wear those on her chest. But then we've got, service to Unity, the Unity military. And she's got a blue belt in it, so to speak, because she's been in it for a while now. And then, of course, this is the command star saying she's a commander, and she's been at that. Now she's an orange belt sort of thing. But before that, she was a data miner, and that's what she did in the military. She looked for data and stuff like that. She did work in data work. That was her job before she was in command line. And then this is tactics, diplomacy, law. And then her shooting skill sucks, but she's got one, at least, Then she has cooking. And I thought that was, she cooks. She likes to bake. So she actually has professionally cooked. She was a cook before she joined the military. That was what she did. And so that's her trait here that says that she did that for a very long time, Her medical skill is functional, and her engineering skill is not very good. So it's like, but that turned out to be kind of a fascinating analysis of the character.
You're missing at least one badge.
Okay, I'm up for it. What am I missing?
She needs a racial badge that she doesn't wear. So this would be the 4th badge she doesn't wear.
About her time in this,
indicate. Yeah,
her time in the Chinese domes.
yeah.
I agree. You're right. That's another badge she needs to wear. Let's load that in now before I forget, because that is an excellent point.
Because if they're going to cover every aspect of their life, that is something that they would give
Definitely.
her.
Yeah, there would be survivor badge or something. And you're right, she wouldn't wear that either. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it would. I can't imagine, but and maybe actually I'll take this one out. I've been kind of, or this one of these two I feel like is maybe a little like teaching. She's not a teacher. She didn't teach her child. She put her child in school like everybody else. So she doesn't have the teaching badge. This is the one that will have do that one. I agree though. And we'll make it a black badge because you only get awarded it once and they consider you an expert at that point, right? Like if you've survived something like that, you pretty much get your black badge on it, you know?
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Dan. It is wonderful having people who actually have been going through world building with me, because you guys think these things out when I miss them. Because you've been with these guys, you've been with these characters, just like I've been with your characters. Somewhere along the line, I'm gonna snag you and say, you forgot this thing. I appreciate you there on that one, though. I mean, he's saying nobody would think of that. I don't know. In a way, I kind of think I am conglomerating a couple of concepts, though. I mean, I'm just conflating the concepts together. I really should put all the rest of the stupid stuff in here, too. Like, I got Bennett's concepts in here too. So let's figure out, what would a survivor badge look like?
I like how you made a comment earlier about, that's such a KN page, the page I'm currently working on.
Mm-hmm.
In
a good way.
It's like I didn't realize that I'm starting to develop a panel style.
I loved it though.
Yeah, because it communicates a lot. And I love doing this type of style. I just thought it was funny that it's like, oh, I'm getting a panel style I'm known for. Okay.
I know what we want for this. There we go. It's just a ribbon. That works.
All right. I'm going to use today to finish this page off.
Okay.
And then start on the next page. And
this weekend.
Hopefully I can start on chapter 5 and start moving this story forward. Because I have spent way too much time on chapter 4.
And by way too much time, you mean at least a day.
You know it's been longer than that.
Of course I do. But a little bit of gentle ribbing is part of and parcel of being friends.
Yes.
It is in the handbook.
The nature.
It's in the handbook.
So I will talk at you later.
Okay. See you later. Good night.
See you.
Or good day. Good day to you.
Good day.
Good day to you.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
Good day.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. And we'll finish this, and then we will go on ahead and go to lunch too, because I'm hungry. However, I always think good night versus good day is fascinating to me, because that's one that is classic British English versus US American English, but also like evolution of that. We just don't even say good day anymore in US English. I mean, like, we were just joking. We can't even say good day without breaking into a British accent. Because it's at that point in time, it's like, well, we're just being weird. So I get a kick out of that. It's funny. All right, there we go. So he's right. Chang would have a ribbon about her time in the dome, and she won't wear that one either. Exactly. You can't say it. It's not only is it so alien in US American English, it's such a weird thing to say anyway. We have to preface it by putting ourselves into British English and say British. We have to use the good day, sir. I say to you, good day. You know, you can't even say it in US with an American accent. You have to say it with a British accent. It's funnier that way. But it is intriguing to me that is the nature of the beast. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah. All right. So, like we said before, this has become sort of the character sheet for Chang, where it has, you know, all of her special uniform pieces and things like that. But what's interesting is it became a character sheet in a way of what she is as a person here, right? So her ribbon bar became more of a rundown of who she is as a person. And usually, when you meet people who have black badges early on, it's because they've been awarded that for something horrible. Like, if it was me, I'd have the little pacifier badge, and it would be whatever, yellow or green probably green or blue at this point in time, right? Because it'd be I put in the hours, but you know, I don't get the actual honest to goodness black badge in parenting until I'm a grandparent or a great grandparent. At that point in time, you'd have the black badge for parenting because you've done it for 3 generations of children or whatever. So if you look at her and she's like this, she's still young, she's still very young, and she's got a black badge in parenting, you know automatically she lost the child. You know what I mean? Like it instantly makes you go, oh crap, that sucks. Which is why she doesn't wear it, because it's something that people would end up talking about, and they talk to her about it, and she doesn't want to talk about it. You know, she doesn't want to mess with it. So, you know, that's the thing. So she can choose to not wear the badges from home if she wants to. Like she could choose to not put her baking badge, her competitive cooking badge on there if she really wants to. She can reject it, but her military badges she can't. Which is why we talk about Bennett. Bennett's badges here all have an interesting difference to them too, because her green badge for this has a red blood drop and a black border, and that means that's the equivalent of a purple heart. She's been wounded in the line of duty, right? So all of this, the scar that's on her face and the fact that her eyes don't match and the gray hair, is all indicative of an accident that occurred with her. And she had a different set of skills, but she's got brain damage now. So she has a different set of skills now. And you'll notice that she has a red badge in marksmanship with a gold stripe. And that means that she has actually gone and done all of the tests to get up to red belt. So she's an expert marksman. And that makes all of the difference, So it's a thing. So anyway, that became an interesting thinking it out became very fascinating, like working the character out. And then I found out that while doing this, she actually has been a professional musician of some sort, which I thought was interesting. Didn't find that out until I started making all of these little awards. But there's a little bit of character depth that we have created because of this, right? Now she's got more character than she did before. Like now I know more about Angie Bennett than we knew before. So that's a thing. That's why I'm working now over here on Mayrell's pictures, because Mayrell is next. We've got to get her into there too. She's a main character. So that's a thing. But it is now 11:25 and I'm hungry and I really want to go get food. I haven't figured out what food I'm going to go get. And I don't know if there's food in this house. I have no idea. So we're going to have to go do that and figure it out. I put my watch back on, and then we're going to go get food. Oh, probably not. That's what I was kind of thinking earlier, was it's going to take a while for AI to get to the point where it's creating compelling stories. And by a while, I mean probably a couple of 100 years. It may take a long time. And at that point in time, you're going to have to ask the question that Bellatrix Rising asks in my comic. You're going to have to ask that same question. If they can create compelling stories that engage, stories that do things, then aren't they their own character? Aren't they their own people? And if so, you have to make space for that. Church's chicken. Not bad. I like Church's chicken. And that's where the questions come in. that's where you start asking the questions. So that's maybe, or I mean, today's day, the culture we are in today, I am seeing patterns in things that change a lot or ask a lot of questions. We have a lot of people who are showing up in the world now with no empathy, with no understanding of how humans work. And we're having to make the dialogue of discussing empathy with how do you teach your children empathy? How do you get that as a learned skill? How do we get that embedded in your children? So it's going to be, there may be a Skynet, but I think that what's going to happen is I think we have at the same time, we're having this dialogue with spectrum people who have empathy issues. Part of the reason that I'm so drawn to people and how people work and what they do is because I was missing it as a child. As a child, I had empathy problems just like a lot of spectrum people did. And it had to be kind of force fed to me. And then but the way that my mom did it was to show me what was going on, and it became fascinating to me. By her showing me what was happening to other human beings around me, I became interested in other human beings around me, which changes my mode. But now that means that there are people who know how to program empathy. They're programming the humans to do it right now. So once your AIs come up online and they have enough mental processing power, then you can teach them empathy. We've already got the programming code going in by all of us who are on spectrum. We're missing empathy to begin with. We have to be taught it. And so in a way, I think it'll all balance out. I don't think there'll be a Skynet unless you don't put these two pieces together. If you put these two pieces together, if our culture can manage to pull it off, where the people who are teaching empathy to the humans who are missing empathy take that knowledge base and program it into the AIs so that they have empathy, then when the AIs do actually reach sentience, they'll have empathy encoded in them. And that's really that's the piece that keeps our civilization together. That's what keeps us from killing each other off randomly. That's the piece that keeps us human. And at that point in time, you have to ask, are the AIs humans? That question was asked in my comic. They went to war over it. And in the end, they agreed that the AIs were humans. They were people, you know. The folks in Bellatrix Rising got a little bit more benefit from being the fact that they also had other non-human races that were sitting there saying, hey, dudes, get over it. We also are people, even though I'm a big tortilla chip with 3 legs. You know, but it's the same thing. So I don't know. There's a lot to think about here, but I'm not that worried as long as we're careful, as long as we don't mess it up, you know? Or both. I mean, you think about where Navin is in my story, right? Navin, the character Navin, is an AI, and that's his thing. I mean, like, He's a holodeck. The whole ship is a holodeck. So Navin can wander down the hallway and, hi, how are you? And wander out, It's a holodeck. And you interact with Navin as if he was another crew member, and he just runs faster than everybody else. That's in the prequel comic that we just did. Chang is talking to Jen, and Jen's like, my replacement AI just came online 3 years ago, so he's only 3 years old. And she's like, he's a baby. And she's like, he passed all the tests, he's good. So there's nothing wrong with that. But she's like, but he's never worked in the civilian sector. And she's like, nope, hasn't worked in the civilian sector, wanted to join the military right away, so he did. And that whole discussion is about the fact that the AIs run faster and they move quicker through society. But it's just an understood thing. We just know that that's the case. But the humans have just as much access as the AIs do to things, to information, to the data. The data stream is still there. The AIs can get to it faster, but that doesn't make them superior. And in this instance, we've got a little bit of a bias against Navin because he's young. But it's interesting that the bias against Navin is because he's young, not because he's an AI, right? So that's the whole thing. She's biased against him because he's a baby. It's the same thing as having your snot-nosed 25-year-old on your ship who's a lieutenant, but he's a butterbark. And so he's like, come on, or 22 or whatever. In fact, she's going to treat Navin very much like she treats Mayrel. It's just that Navin is more flippant and happy-go-lucky than Mayrel is, who's much more darker and wise. And she's darker and wise because she's Deus Thati, and that's part of that culture. So, not the same as Wesley. I don't think I would call that the same. Because I think it's always going to be gentle ribbing, because I'm just thinking about middies. Middies on a MIDI cruise, right? In the Navy, you have the midshipmen who come aboard. They're not totally done with all of their work, so they're not real Navy guys yet. They're just, they've never gotten their sea legs. They've never been out on a ship. So they throw them on a ship, and then the ship toodles around in circles for a while in the Atlantic Ocean, right? It just goes doodly 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 while they learn how to do the things and push the buttons and pull the levers, and they learn how to work a ship. Those are middies, because they're midshipmen. And I feel like the way that the officers treat them is more like, you just don't know how to work a ship. And that's cool. You'll know it, at the end of this cruise. But for right now, we know how to work the ship and you don't, so we've got the respect. The military is another functioning meritocracy, right? I mean, the military is an exact functioning meritocracy because that's exactly what it does. It operates by merit. If you are, if you're a colonel, we have to respect you. That's what we are supposed to do. You're given respect by default because of that. So I think that she's going to be doing you guys are on your MIDI cruise, it's cool, but there will be a couple of times where she'd be like, look, why don't we let people who've got experience on this go down to the planet and talk to the natives? You guys just stay here, sort of stuff. It's not the Wesley thing necessarily. It's just I don't know. It seems like this could be an unpleasant situation. Let's not take the middies with us, But yeah, I mean, I think if nothing else, I am intrigued and fascinated by this whole discussion about AI and sentience. Um, and the questions that I'm interested in are 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road for us. What happens when these intelligences gain intelligence? And it's not just an algorithm, but it's machine learning. They're picking up cycles of information. We're just big machines. We're not even really big machines, but a human being is just a machine. We're thinking this through. So I don't know. I've got stuff to think about. So there's that. Anyway, all right. I am now definitely hungry. Yes. And that's the thing about the meritocracy, right? If you were Wesley, he would have already had a rack of ribbons. It's just that he wouldn't have that Starfleet ribbon, that first one on the upper left. He wouldn't have that one, right? It wouldn't be awarded to him. He'd have a lot of other ribbons, though, where he would have tested into warp mechanics and warp field theory. And so what you'd end up with is a white ribbon for Starfleet, because he's just now joining Starfleet, right? A white ribbon for the Starfleet one. And then right next to it would be a white ribbon for engineering department, right? Because that's where they'd stick him. And then you'd have like a red ribbon in warp mechanics and a blue ribbon in, like warp field theory. And you know what I mean? Like it would be followed by a bunch of dark colored ribbons all of a sudden in different things. So you take one look at his dossier and go, well, you know what? You may not know your way. You may not know how to properly salute your officers, but damn, we've got a warp problem. Can you come help us? You know what I mean? Just taking one look at the rack of medals that Wesley would have. In this setup, the way this is set up, they take one look at that on his dossier and say, hey, can you help us? Because we've got a problem with warp theory here, So I think that's a different story. We can discuss the merits of Wesley Crusher later. It'd be great is to someday have a discussion like this with Will Wheaton. I'd love to see what he sees Will Wheaton doing, or what he sees Wesley as. Hey guys, you know how this goes. We're heading out. Remember to keep your eyes in the stars, because right now one of those stars is an Artemis spacecraft on its way back. Just saying. Go Artemis. Which I can actually do. Go Artemis. Right? In the meantime, keep your eyes in the stars, and I'll see you all later. I won't be on tonight. I'll be on Sunday night. So I'll see you guys Sunday night. Bye-bye.